Snap my picture without me realizing I look all crazy. Okay, beautiful people. Y'all excited about today? I'm so excited about today. Hold on, let me see. Let me fix this. I didn't mess around and cut my video. Say, oh, we can't play the song. Okay, let me turn this on. Hold on. All right, beautiful people. Cut this off. Okay, there we go. Don't want to run the risk of them completely muting the videos today. Okay. Oh, Miss Wobble, Shayla. Great rising, great rising. All right, y'all. I'm so excited about today. Okay, y'all. Happy Sunday. It is January the 31st. We're the last day of the month, January 31st, 2021, y'all. It is day 65 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, another 3-year consecutive day count, day 734. Today, guys, we're going to finish up the book of Leviticus, read the very last chapter, Leviticus 27, and then we're going to stop right there, right? We're going to read that one chapter today. Then we're going to hop right over to the legends of the Jews, and we're going to pick up them actually about to receive the Torah, right? So I kind of kept it short today so I can keep most of this together so we can hear it all in one sitting. And we're going to reread the paragraph from yesterday when all the other nations say, yeah, no, we don't want it. Get somebody else, right? So just in case the people didn't know, Yahuwah is so fair and he's so gracious that he went to every other nation first before he came to Israel. So he's not showing favoritism. He actually came to us last. Although he knew it from the beginning that we was going to be the only one. So the other nations would not say that Yahuwah was showing favoritism. He went to every single one of them first. And every single one of them rejected it. All right. So we're going to read that again. So let's get started here with the Shema. And I think I may move my camera for Facebook so y'all like sitting right in front of me like YouTube is. That way y'all not always like catching like a side glimpse. I was like, how can I fix it? I could move the camera, but sometimes it covers up. Okay. Where did my shimmer go? Oh, okay. I guess the bookmark. I'm like, what's that? Okay. Listen, everybody. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the God of our fathers, has promised us, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah our God, he is one God. And you shall love Yahuwah your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children. And you shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them as a sign upon your hand, and as between frontlets, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah our God for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah our God as he has commanded us. Y'all, if y'all in Virginia, have y'all looked out the window? It's snowing again. It is snowing again. Like I thought I heard them say something about more snow, but I just really didn't pay it much attention. It's snowing again, y'all. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we can do this. Okay. All right, got y'all there. So y'all got the same angle now as Trina Betwabu as YouTube has. Let me move this. Okay. So what's going to happen though? Oh, I didn't do that. I'm sorry. I'm trying to adjust the screen for YouTube. Joshua up here last night adjusted my screens. That's why I didn't go back to my default. Okay, let's pull this up, y'all. Like they got their own laptop, but they got Chromebooks, but they like to play on my Mac, and they come in here messing with my defaults. I'm gonna just have to completely ban them from this. See, I gotta come in and readjust this. I already had time trying to get it done. 27. All right, y'all. That really plucks my nerves. Okay, all right, here we go. Let's see if we can do this right here. Okay. All right, y'all. Leviticus 27. We're gonna do this. Okay, this kind of covering up. Oh, y'all got Samuel. Okay. Yahuwah said to Moses, give the following instructions to the people of Israel. If anyone makes a special vow to dedicate someone to Yahuwah by paying the value of that person, here is the scale of values to be used. A man between the ages of 20 and 6 is valued at 50 shekels of silver, as measured by the sanctuary shekel. A woman of that age is valued at 30 shekels of silver. A boy between the ages of 5 and 20 is valued at 20 shekels of silver. A girl of that age is valued at 10 shekels of silver. A boy between the ages of 1 month and 5 years is valued at 5 shekels of silver. A girl of that age is valued at 3 shekels of silver. A man older than 60 is valued at 15 shekels of silver. A woman of that age is valued at 10 shekels of silver. If you desire to make such a vow but cannot afford to pay the required amount, take the person to the priest. He will determine the amount for you to pay based on what you can afford. If your vow involves giving an animal that is acceptable as an offering to Yahuwah, any gift to Yahuwah will be considered holy. You may not exchange or substitute for another animal. You may not change or substitute it for another animal. Neither a good animal for a bad one, nor a bad animal for a good one. But if you do exchange one animal for another, then both the original animal and its substitute will be considered holy. If your vow involves an unclean animal, one that is not acceptable as an offering to Yahuwah, then you must bring the animal to the priest. He will assess its value, and his assessment will be final, whether high or low. If you want to buy back the animal, you must pay the value set by the priest plus 20%. If someone dedicates a house to Yahuwah, the priest will come and assess its value. The priest's assessment will be final, whether high or low. If the person who dedicated the house wants to buy it back, he must pay the value set by the priest plus 20%. Then the house will again be his. If someone dedicates to Yahuwah a piece of his family property, its value will be assessed according to the amount of seed required to plant it. 50 shekels of silver for a field planted with 5 bushels of barley seed. If the field is dedicated to Yahuwah in the year of Jubilee, then the entire assessment will apply. But if the field is dedicated after the year of Jubilee, the priest will assess the land's value in proportion to the numbers of years left until the next year of Jubilee. Its assessed value is reduced each year. If the person who dedicated the field wants to buy it back, he must pay the value set by the priest plus 20%. Then the field again will be legally his. But if he does not want to buy it back and it is sold to someone else, the field can no longer be bought back. When the field is released in the year of Jubilee, it will be holy, a field specially set apart for Yahuwah. It will become the property of the priest. If someone dedicates to Yahuwah a field he has purchased, but which is not part of his family property, sorry, shalom, shalom. That was crooked. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. If someone dedicates to Yahuwah a field he has purchased, but which is not part of his family property, the priest will assess its value based on the number of years left until the next year of Jubilee. On that day, he must give the assessed value of the land as a sacred donation to Yahuwah. In the year of Jubilee, he must return the field to the person from whom he purchased it, the one who inherited as family property. All the payments must be measured by the weight of the sanctuary shekel, which equals 20 gerahs. You may not dedicate a firstborn animal to Yahuwah for the firstborn of your. Oh, okay. I was about to say, wait a minute, hold on. We got a typo. Wait a minute. Okay, listen. You may not dedicate the firstborn animal to Yahuwah, for the firstborn of your cattle, sheep, and goats already belong to him. Like, how you gonna give me what's already? Don't listen. That's firstborn already belong to me. Pick something else, right? I was about to say I caught it real quick. Like, wait, hold on. Firstborns belong to y'all. Okay, it was me. I just needed to keep reading. Okay, I thought we had a typo here. You may not dedicate the first one. That's what I'm talking about, y'all. When you read it enough, things will begin to jump out at you. Wait a minute, what's wrong? Am I missing something, or do I need to keep reading? Hold on, because we clearly know Yahuwah said that the firstborns belong to him, right? That's why I be talking about how things will pop up, but clearly I just needed to keep reading, right? Because they answer that. You may not dedicate the firstborn animal to Yahuwah, for the firstborn of your cattle, sheep, and goats already belong to him. However, you may buy back the firstborn of a ceremonially unclean animal by paying the priest's assessment of its worth plus 20%. If you do not buy it back, the priest will sell it at its assessed value. However, anything specially set apart for Yahuwah, whether a person, an animal, or family property, must never be sold or bought back. Anything devoted in this way has been set apart as holy, and it belongs to Yahuwah. No person specially set apart for no person specially set apart for destruction may be brought back. Such a person must be put to death. 1/10 of the produce of the land, whether grain from the fields or fruit from the trees, belongs to Yahuwah and must be set apart to him as holy. If you want to buy back Yahuwah's 10th of the grain or fruit, you must pay its value plus 20%. Count off every 10th animal from your herds and flocks and set them apart for Yahuwah as holy. You may not pick and choose between good and bad animals, and you may not substitute one for another. But if you do exchange one animal for another, then both the original animal and its substitute will be considered holy and cannot be bought back. These are the commands that Yahuwah gave through Moses on Mount Sinai for the Israelites, right? Y'all ready? Let's hop right to it. All right. So that was the last chapter in Leviticus. Let's go ahead and minimize this. We'll maximize this. And we keep y'all in the same place over here. Okay. Everybody got the same view today. Well, not that you're viewing me, but you're listening. I don't know. It might make a listen. I don't know. Anyway, that way you're not looking at me Facebook from the side. I really need to set my stand up and sit it up here with my phone. Like I said, I got all this equipment that I bought months ago. I'm not even using it, right? Because I got to sit there and I got to pull out the instructions, and I just got to make sure I'm not being disturbed by the children when I'm trying to set it up. Because apparently they think because I have this equipment, they think they call it a setup. They say, "Can you buy us a setup? What do you need a setup for?" Like all they want to do is use this setup, like they see on YouTube, kids playing games and stuff, so they can play Roblox, right? And because they're like in Builders Club, which is not called the Builders Club anymore, it's called Premium. So they get to build their own little towns and stuff, but they think they need to have the full experience. Like we need our own big screen TV, we need this chair, we need these big headphones, and we need matter of fact, you need to get us 2 screens. I'm like, what do y'all think this is? Absolutely not. Y'all are like 4 years old apiece. No. So that's why. Plus, when I bring it out, they say, "Ooh, let me hook it up for you." Not that I don't mind them learning how to hook stuff up, but they feel like if they touch it, they can use it all the time. And I don't want that. Like my microphone, my booth thing right here, all this. I'm like, if y'all don't get out of here, I'm going to pluck you. Every single one of you. Get out of here. Okay. All right, y'all. So we're going to reread this. Okay, page 267. The Gentiles. If you were here yesterday, remember, we said we was going to reread this over so we can kind of keep the whole story together. I think some of it may be cut off anyway, just because of, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to try not to hop in too much. So let me stop talking and read. Okay, page 267. And if you have the smaller book, it's volume 3, the section, The Gentiles Refuse the Torah. Okay, here we go. The mountain on which Yahuwah made his revelation bears 6 names. It is called the Desert Sin because Yahuwah there announced his commandments. It is called the Desert Kadesh because Israel was sanctified there. The Desert Kamu because the pre-existing Torah was there revealed. I'm sorry. Make sure the volume was all the way up. Y'all didn't see anything, so I think y'all can hear me, but I forgot I turned it down with the music. Okay. I think y'all can hear me anyway, so we're good. All right. It is called the desert Kadesh because Israel was sanctified there. The desert Kamut because the pre-existing Torah was there revealed. The desert Paran because Israel there was greatly multiplied. The desert Sinai because the hatred of Yahuwah against the heathens began there, for the reason that they would not accept the Torah. And for this same reason, it is called Horeb, because of the annihilation of the heathens was there decreed by Yahuwah. For the wrath of Yahuwah against the heathens dates from their refusal to accept the Torah offered to them. Before Yahuwah gave Israel the Torah, he approached every tribe and nation and offered them the Torah, that hereafter they might have no excuse to say, had the Holy One, blessed be he, desired to give us the Torah, we should have accepted it. He went to the children of Esau and said, will ye accept the Torah? They answered him, saying, what is written therein? He answered them, thou shalt not kill. Then they all said, will thou perchance take from us the blessing which our father Esau was blessed? For he was blessed with the words, by thy sword shall thou live. We do not want to accept the Torah. Therefore he went to the children of Lot and said to them, will ye accept the Torah? They said, what is written therein? He answered, thou shalt not commit unchastity. They said, from unchastity do we spring. We do not want to accept the Torah. So remember, the children of Lot, his daughter slept with him, right? So that's how the Moabites and the Ammon, Moab and Ammon, that's how they were conceived, through unchastity, right? The women sleeping with their father, which was something unforbidden by Yahuwah, right? He said, this is incest. We don't do this. So they say, yeah, that's how we came about. That's how we got our life, through unchastity. No, we don't want it. Then he went to the children of Ishmael and said to them, do ye want to accept the Torah? They said to him, what is written therein? He answered, thou shalt not steal. They said, will thou take from us the blessing which our fathers was blessed? Yahuwah promised him, his hand will be against every man. We do not want to accept thy Torah. Thence he went to all the other nations, who likewise rejected the Torah, saying, we cannot give up the law of our fathers. We do not want thy Torah. Give it to thy people Israel. Upon this he came to Israel and spoke to them, will ye accept the Torah? They said to him, what is written therein? And for them, he didn't sum up or give them one thing. He didn't like pull anything specifically out. He just kind of gave them like the whole Torah consists of like 613 commands without revealing which any of those commands were, right? Listen, will ye accept the Torah? They said to him, what is written therein? He answered, 613 commandments. They said, all that Yahuwah has spoken, we will do and be obedient. So before they even heard it, they said, whatever you got in there, like I said yesterday, you was like, you want what's in this bag? They're like, well, what's in the bag? 613 commandments in this bag. Without asking, okay, what are those 613 commandments? They say, yes, we want all of it, because anything you given, being the creator of the universe, can only be good for us, right? So yes, we want the whole bag and everything in it, right? Listen. Upon this he came to Israel and spoke to them, will ye accept the Torah? They said to him, what is written therein? He answered, 613 commandments. They said, all that Yahuwah has spoken, we will do and be obedient. O Lord of the world, they continued, we acted in accordance with thy commandments before they were revealed to us. Jacob fulfilled the first of the 10 commandments by bidding his sons to stay away from strange gods that were among them. Abraham obeyed the commandment not to take the name of Yahuwah in vain, for he said, I have lifted up my hand unto Yahuwah, the Most High God. So pause. Before it was, let's say, reissued to them, right? They already kind of knew the ways of the Most Holy, right? Even though they had been in captivity, like hard labor captivity, for like 230 years, right? So before it was even reissued to them directly from Yah through the hand of Moses, they had already known. See, because before any of this had happened, The patriarchs were keeping the commands of the Most High. How did they know? Like, how did Enoch know? Yahuwah taught them, right? He was always there with them, speaking to them, teaching them the right paths to walk. So it was already known. Even the heathen nations knew, like, oh, what's they in? But then you bless our fathers with this blessing and said this. Yeah, okay, so if we accept this, we can't have this too. Okay, we're gonna have to give this up to worship you. Yeah, we want the blessing of our Father. And you will probably looked at them like, ye rascals, do ye not know that I am the Father of thy fathers? But I guess they weren't thinking. They was only thinking like what they can have now, what they can do now, right? Okay. All right, let's go back here. We acted in accordance with thy commandments before they were revealed to us. Jacob fulfilled the first of the 10 commandments by bidding his sons put away strange gods that were among them. Abraham obeyed the commandment not to take the name of Yahuwah in vain, for he said, I have lifted up my hand unto Yahuwah, the Most High God. Joseph fulfilled the commandment to remember the Sabbath and to keep it holy. And when his brothers came, he had everything for their welcome prepared on Friday. Isaac observed the law to honor his father and his mother when he allowed Abraham to bind him on the altar as a sacrifice. Judah observed the commandment not to kill when he said to his brothers, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Joseph observed the law, thou shalt not commit adultery, when he repulsed the desire of the wife of Potiphar. The other sons of Jacob observed the commandment, thou shalt not steal, saying, how then should we steal out of thy Lord's house silver and gold? Abraham observed the commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness, for he was a true witness and bore witness for all the world that thou art Lord of all creation. It was Abraham also who observed the last of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not covet, saying, I will not take a thread, even a shoe latchet. All right, let's go to the next section. The contest of the mountains. While the nations and the people were refusing to accept the Torah, the mountains among themselves were fighting for the honor of being chosen as the spot for the revelation. One said, upon me shall the Shekinah of Yahuwah rest, and mine shall be this glory. Whereupon the other mountain replied, upon me shall the Shekinah rest, and mine shall be this glory. While they was like, no, we don't want to give it to somebody else, the mountains are like, the glory cloud is going to rest on me. Yahuwah going to make me his throne. Like, they fighting over who about to get this, right? While the other nations, they are like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, they treating the most holy like he's a common thing. While the mountains, who weren't even really given mouths to speak and are stationary in their place, are literally fighting to be the one chosen where the most holi's glory will rest, right? What is wrong with us? Whereupon the other mountain replied, upon me shall the Shekinah rest, and mine shall be this glory. The mountain of Tabor said to the mountain of Hermon, upon me shall the Shekinah rest, mine shall be this glory. For in times of old, when in the days of Noah the flood came over the earth, all the mountains that were under the heavens were covered with water, whereas it did not reach my head, nay, not even my shoulder. All the earth, all the earth was sunk under water. But I, the highest of the mountains, tower high above the waters. Hence I am called upon to bear the Shekinah. Mount Hermon replied to Mount Tabor, upon me shall the Shekinah rest. I am the destined one. For when Israel wished to pass through the Red Sea, it was I who enabled them to do so. For I settled down between the two shores of the sea, and they moved from one side to the other through my aid, so that not even their clothes became wet. Mount Carmel was quite silent, but settled down on the shore of the sea, thinking, if the Shekinah is to repose on the sea, it will rest upon me. And if it is to repose on the mainland, it will rest on me. Then a voice out of the high heavens rang out aloud and said, the Shekinah shall not rest upon these mountains that are so proud, for it is not Yahuwah's will that the Shekinah should rest upon the mountains that quarrel among themselves and look upon one another with disdain. He prefers the low mountains, the Sinai among these, because it is the smallest and most insignificant of all. Upon it he will let the Shekinah rest. The other mountains hereupon said to Yahuwah, is it possible that thou art partial and will give us no reward for our good intention? Yahuwah replied, because ye have striven in my honor, I will reward ye. Upon Tabor, I will grant aid to Israel at the time of Deborah. And upon Carmel, I will give aid to Elijah. Mount Sinai was given the preference not only for its humility alone, but also because upon it there had been no worshiping of idols, whereas the other mountains, owing to their height, had been employed as sanctuary by the idolaters. Mount Sinai has a further significance too, for it had been originally a part of Mount Moriah, on which Isaac was to have been sacrificed, but Sinai separated itself from it and became the desert. And Yahuwah said, because their father Isaac lay upon this mountain, bound as a sacrifice, it is fitting that upon it his children receive the Torah. Hence, Yahuwah now chose this mountain for a brief stay during the revelation, and after the Torah had been bestowed, he withdrew again to heaven. In the future world, Sinai will return to its original place, Mount Moriah, when the mountain of Yahuwah's house shall be established in the top of the mountain and shall be exalted above all the hills. Just as Sinai was chosen as the spot for the revelation owing to its humility, so likewise was Moses. When Yahuwah said to Moses, go, deliver Israel, he, in his great humility, said, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and lead the children out of Israel? There are nobler and wealthier than I. But Yahuwah replied, thou art a great man. Thee have I chosen out of all Israel. Out of thee shall the prophet of the future say, I have laid help upon one that is mighty. I have exalted one chosen out of the people. Moses, in his humility, however, still stood apart and would not accept the office offered to him until Yahuwah said, why dost thou stand apart? If they are not to be delivered by thee, by none other will they be delivered. When likewise at Yahuwah's command Moses had erected the tabernacle, he did not enter it out of great humility until Yahuwah said to him, why dost thou stand outside? Thou art worthy to serve me. All right, we'll go to the next section, the Torah offered to Israel. On the second day of the third month, Moses received the word from Yahuwah to betake himself to Mount Sinai, for without this direct summons, he would not have gone there. This time, as at all times, when Yahuwah desired to speak with Moses, he twice called him by name, and afterward he answered, here I am. Yahuwah's revelation to him followed. When Moses had been carried to Yahuwah in a cloud, which was already ready to bear him to Yahuwah, and y'all's a couple typos. When Moses had been carried to Yahuwah in a cloud, which was already to bear him to Yahuwah and to restore him to men, Yahuwah said to him, go and acquaint the women of Israel with the principles of Judaism. Well, we know that's not Judaism, it's with the principles of Yahuwah, right? With the principles of Torah. Listen, Yahuwah said, go and acquaint the women of Israel with the principles of Judaism and try with kindly words to persuade them to accept the Torah, but expound the full contents of the Torah to the men, and with them speak solemn words concerning it. There were several reasons for his going to the women first. Pay attention, women. This is what we can redeem ourselves from what Eve did, right? This is what we're doing. Listen. There were several reasons for his going to the women first. Yahuwah said, when I created the world, I gave my commandment concerning the forbidden fruit to Adam only, and not to his wife Eve. And this omission had the effect that she tempted Adam to sin. Hence, it appears advisable that the women first hear my commandments, and the men will then follow their counsel. Because just think about it, right? Listen, when I was and I don't know if she's up here today, but she may come back and watch it. Anyway, I was going to this church. The pastor used to always have this saying. He said the The man may be the head, but the woman is the neck, and it's the neck that turns the head, right? I'm like, oh, shut your mouth. But what he said was a whole lifetime full of wisdom if you take it and use it wisely, right? Let's not use it like Jezebel used it, right? Where she turned King Ahab in the wrong direction. Let's more like Esther turn the king head in the direction towards the most holy in his commands. Right. So that's like a blessing and a curse and the same thing, because they wield a lot of power. And especially if your men, your husbands love you and they listen to you, they're going to contemplate what you two discuss together. Right. And you have to make sure that when you're talking to your husbands, you are not being manipulative, and you don't have ulterior motives behind something, but your intentions have to be pure. Like, you can't give him wisdom out of an angry heart. Trina said, I promise I never forget that one. I'm telling you. Oh yes, that's something I'll remember for the rest of my life, Trina. And you have to be mindful, because if your husband truly listens to your counsel, right, and he goes out here and he makes the ultimate decision, whatever it is, but if he listens to your counsel and you just kind of happen to be manipulative, he's going to consider that, although he may not perceive that you are manipulating him, right? So women, we have to be very, very careful, because there's a power that we will that should not be taken lightly. We have the power to persuade, right? And if you use it wisely, and I would say don't use it alone. Talk to the most holy first. All right, Father, look, I'm kind of mad about this, but I want to make sure I give, my husband is asking me for my opinion. I don't want to give it out of anger because I feel this way. So maybe you need to, I don't know, maybe I need to fast or something, because he really wants my input on this, So when it's times like that, and when I can't seem to separate my feelings, I'm honest with my husband. I was like, because they're like, I'll give you an example. There was a situation that happened in our company with one of our employees, right? But we contracted him with a prime company that we use. So anything that he has going on, he must report to us first, and then we will report to the main company, because you work for us, right? You just kind of running this particular portion of the job, but you report to us. You let us know if something's going wrong, and we will adjust, and we will make the necessary adjustments, and we'll talk to the prime contractor, right? But he decided he wanted to make a decision and go directly to them, not realizing that the people that we know on the inside always come directly back to us and let us know what our people be doing. If they doing so, we got pretty good people, but sometimes they may, and they'll let us know, because they know our history with this company, and they don't want like people who's just there for a paycheck to ruin a bigger project that we have. So it's people actually inside of the company that truly love us and been working with us for years that will come let us know, hey, you might want to check out such and such. They doing this. And, I warned them already, and I told them I was going to come back and tell you. But anyway, I said all that to say he decided to make a decision and go tell them something, and decided to just leave altogether. And we was like, wait, what? He like put in his 2 weeks. I'm like, wait a minute, because there's a process where we have to replace the body and stuff. And it's like, wait a minute, how did you do that? But it was done to where it was all out of order, and we just kind of lost that position, because had he done it appropriately, we would have been able to have another person trained and put in that position, so there's not like a lag in the service that we give or whatever, right? But he was big, he wanted to hop out there, do his own thing, start his own company and stuff, didn't follow proper protocol, and we kind of lost that slot, right? And we lost that slot for a period of about 2 years, right? And I was like, I'm so hot. I said, he better ever come back and ask us for a job. I said, he knew that was wrong, right? I was like, we should have never hired him in the first place, because he has this whole mindset. I was like, he's not good to work with us, right? Because he's too wishy-washy, and he one day he want to run his own business. Next day, when the business not going, he ain't got the money coming in, he want to come back and work. No, we can't do that anymore, right? So with this, but I said all that just kind of give you a quick background, because I don't want to take us off of this too much. But there's like a certain order, right? So if you're giving advice, now my husband has a really forgiving heart. And if anybody know my husband, he about his business. He ain't gonna play with you, but he has a soft heart for our people, and they can come with something. Okay, then he'll come like, hey, they got this. Can we do this? Yeah, we'll do this. But they'll sometimes I feel like sometimes they know the kindness of my husband's heart. Not that they're purposely trying to take advantage and get over, but a couple people I think have tried that. That's why I was like, no. But with this particular thing, because I was completely upset because it cost us this slot, which caused us to lose revenue for the overall company. I was pissed about this, and I felt some type of way toward this guy, right? So I'm just like, listen, I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm pissed right now, and I'm gonna say no. So don't do this, but I'm in my feelings. So just kind of disregard that, because I don't know that I can give you sound advice right now because I'm in my feelings about this. So I just need you to know that. So you need to take what I say, like really weigh it carefully, because I'm mad about this situation, and I don't know that I can give you solid advice without my feelings being involved, because it directly affects our household and everybody else. So it's things like that, women. We have to be very careful when we're giving counsel to our husbands, especially when they're in positions where they actually run a company, and it's not just your family being involved, right? Because I don't just think about our family, I also think about how this will affect all our other employees as well, because they have families too. And like I said, this is one of the contracts that it brings in a nice portion of revenue for our company, and where we make sure, and we've built such a relationship with them to where it is, if one of our other clients is late in paying us, we can go to them and we can actually pull against some of the work orders and stuff that we have, and they're like, yeah, go ahead, you can come up here and pick up this check today, and that's how a lot of times we've been able to kind of keep stuff going and make sure we pay our people on time, because of the relationship that we've built, right? And so I don't take too kindly of somebody coming in and trying to destroy what we have built, right? And my husband has a good heart, and so you want to see, it's like, Mommy. Wait a minute, baby girl. It's like that she bear being robbed of one of her cubs. If I window. I see, baby girl, it is snowing. And if I think you trying to get over, I'm looking at the snow. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to turn my head and look. Oh, it is so beautiful. Mommy. Yes. Can you wash my spoon? Okay, it's one right over there. Grab that inside the rack. Okay, so I don't want to get off too much, but I'm just saying, women, you have to be very, very careful, especially if your husband, like I said, runs a company or in a big position where it's not just really just affecting your household, but affecting everybody else. You have to give him sound wisdom, and it can't be full of emotions and stuff. And if you don't know how to separate it, you need to be honest. So he needs to know, okay, let me slow down. If he's really looking for your counsel, you kind of need to work through those issues, kind of separate that so you can make a level-headed decision, so he can make a decision that will benefit all, right? Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Let's start this over. There were several reasons for his going to the women first. Yahuwah said, when I created the world, I gave my commandment concerning the forbidden fruit to Adam only, and not his wife Eve. And this omission had the effect that she tempted Adam to sin. Hence, it appears advisable that the women first hear my commandments, and the men will then follow their counsel. Yahuwah furthermore knew that the women are more scrupulous in their observance of religious precepts, and hence he first addressed himself to them. Then, too, Yahuwah expected the women to instruct their children in the ways of Torah. Wherefore, he sent his messenger first to them. Right? Okay, women, pay attention. Come on. The words that Moses was to address to the women as well as to the men, to the Sanhedrin as well as to the people, were as follows. You yourselves have seen it. You got it? Okay, go ahead. Okay.
I'm trying to go upstairs.
Okay, just please don't spill it. Okay, I'm going to trust you this morning. It's going to keep you quiet. I'm going to just let it take it. Okay. Be careful. Okay. It's the spoons clanging around in her glass, y'all. All right, I'm sorry. The words that Moses was to address to the women as well as to the men, to the Sanhedrin as well as to the people were as follows. You yourselves have seen it, for it is not from writings or through tradition or from the mouths of others that ye learn it, what I did for you in Egypt. Although they were idolaters, slayers of men, and men of lewd living, I still punished them not for these sins. Listen what he said. He talking about Egypt. He said, I didn't punish them for all this rigmarole they was doing. He said, although they were very wicked, they was doing all this stuff. He said, but this one thing I punished them for. And it's happening just like that again. If y'all pay attention, listen, pay attention. You yourselves have seen it, for it is not from writings or through tradition or from the mouths of others that ye learn it, what I did for you in Egypt. For although they were idolaters, slayers of men, and men of lewd living, I punished them not for these sins, but only for the wrong done to you. But ye will I carry on the wings of eagles on the day of the revelation at Sinai, and ye I will bring to me when the temple shall be erected, since I have wrought for you so many miracles, even before you had received the Torah and observed the laws. How many more miracles will I work for you when you will have received the Torah and observed the laws? The beginning of all things is hard, but as soon as you will have grown accustomed to obedience, all else will be easy to you. Like, as we get into the habit of just keeping it, because it kind of seems foreign, because we haven't been doing it, we've been living another way. It seems hard at first, and then it becomes easy. It's just like it's a part of life now, right? And that's what he's saying. The beginning of all things is hard, but as soon as you will have grown accustomed to obedience, all else will be easy to you. If you will now observe the Abrahamic covenant, the Sabbath, and the commandment against idolatry, then you will be my possession. For although everything belongs to me, Israel will be my especial possession, because I led them out of Egypt and freed them from bondage. With respect to Israel, Yahuwah is like one who received many fields as a heritage, but one he purchased himself, and the one he earned was dearest to his heart. I will reign alone over you as my possession. I will reign alone over you as my possession. Nobody else, just me, all by myself. All by myself. I will reign alone over you as my possession. I and none other, so long as you keep yourselves aloof from other peoples. Like, don't mingle with them. Don't mingle with them. If not, other people shall reign over you. But if you obey me, you shall be a nation, not only free from care, but also a nation of priests and a holy nation. If Israel had not sinned through worshiping the golden calf, there would be among them no case of priests. The nation would have been a nation of priests. And it was only after their sin that the greater part of the people lost the right to priesthood, meaning that now we only have one tribe, Levi, that's set aside for the priesthood, when Yahuwah intended the entire 12 tribes to be priests, right? Remember, we are his priests. Why? Because he's sending us to the entire world. We are a light set upon the hill, y'all. But because of the sin of the worshiping of the calf, 11 tribes was discounted, and now it's just the one tribe of Levi, right? Yahuwah now instructed Moses to transmit to the people his words without adding to them or diminishing from them, in the precise order and in the same tongue, the Hebrew. Moses hereupon betook himself to the people to deliver the message without first seeing his family. He first addressed the word of Yahuwah to the elders, for he never forgot the honor due to the elders. Then, in simple and well-arranged form, he repeated it to all the people, including the women. Joyfully and of his own impulse, every Israelite declared himself willing to accept the Torah, whereupon Moses returned to Yahuwah to inform him of the decision of the people. For although Yahuwah being omniscient, had no need of hearing from Moses the answer of the people, still propriety demands that one who is sent on a message return to make a report of his success to the one who sent him. Girl, if you don't quit stomping.
Josh mad at me.
Josh mad at you?
Yeah.
All right. I'll get it, y'all. This girl has a heavy foot. Y'all hear that? To be 4 years old. Josh mad at her, so she gonna stomp. Stop it! I'm sorry, y'all. Yahuwah hereupon said to Moses, I will come to thee in a thick cloud and repeat to thee the commandments that I gave thee on Marah, so that thou tellest them. So what thou tellest them may seem to the people as important as what they hear from me. But not only in thee shall they have faith, but also in the prophets and sages that will come after thee. Moses then returned to the people once more and explained to them the serious effects that disregard of the law would have upon them. The first time he spoke to them about the Torah, he expounded his excellencies to them, so to induce them to accept it. But now he spoke to them of the terrible punishments that they would bring upon themselves if they did not observe the laws. The people did not, however, alter their resolution, but were full of joy in the expectation of receiving the Torah. They only wished Moses to voice to Yahuwah their desire to hear him impart his words directly to them. So they said to Moses, we want to hear the words of our king from himself. Remember we read this? So they said, Moses, listen, we know that you God's man, but we want to hear his words directly from his mouth. Okay, I'm going to let them know. I'll be back. They were not even content with this, but excuse me, but wanted to see the divine presence, for hearing is not like seeing. Yahuwah granted both their wishes and commanded Moses to tell them to prepare themselves during the next 2 days for receiving the Torah. Oh, listen, Israel prepares for the revelation. Listen, y'all be like, oh, I want to see you, but you ain't really ready to see all this magnificent glory, right? He even told Elijah and who was it? It was a couple of them. He said, look, I'm gonna let you see the glory that comes behind me, because you just gonna fall dead if you see all the fullness of this glory while you still in that fleshly form. You can't take it. But Yahuwah said he granted them both their wishes. I'm gonna let you see me, and I'm gonna let you hear my voice directly. Just as one who is to be admitted to, they keep putting Judaism in here, but we know it's the Hebrew to the Torah, right? Just as one who is to be admitted to Judaism must first be submitted to the 3 ceremonies of circumcision, baptism, and sacrifice, so Israel did not receive the Torah until they had performed these 3 ceremonies. They had already undergone circumcision in Egypt. Baptism was imposed upon them 2 days before the revelation on Mount Sinai. On the day preceding the revelation of Moses, recorded in a book, the covenant between Israel and their God, and on the morning of the day of the revelation, sacrifices were offered as a strengthening of the covenant. As there were no priests at the time, the service was performed by the elders of Israel, who, in spite of their age, performed their duty with youthful vigor. Moses erected an altar on Mount Sinai, as well as 12 memorial pillars, one for each tribe, and then bade them bring bulls as a burnt offering and a peace offering. The blood of these animals was then separated exactly into 2 halves. This was attended by the angel Michael, who guided Moses' hand and so conducted the separation of the blood that there might not be 1 drop more in one half than in the other. Yahuwah upon this said to Moses, sprinkle the 1/2 of the blood upon the people as a token that they will not barter my glory for the idols of other people, and sprinkle the other half on the altar as a token that I would not exchange them for any other nation. That's so good. Moses did as he was bidden, and lo, the miracle came to pass that the blood of a few animals sufficed to sprinkle every single Israelite. Before this covenant between Yahuwah and Israel had been made, Moses read aloud to the people all of the Torah, that they might know exactly what they were taking upon themselves. This covenant was made a second time in the desert of Moab by Moses, and a third time by Joshua after the entrance into the promised land, and on the mountains of Gerizim and Ebal. Although the people had now clearly expressed their desire to accept the Torah, still Yahuwah hesitated to give it to them, saying, "Shall I, without further ado, give you the Torah? Nay, bring me bondsmen that you will observe it, and I will give you the Torah." Israel, O Lord of the world, our fathers are bondsmen for us. Yahuwah, your fathers are my debtors, and therefore are not good bondsmen. He said, they already belong to me. It's the same principle. Don't give me something that already belongs to me. I need something else I need something else as security, right? We're about to see what they're about to give up as security, right? Listen to this. Abraham said, whereby shall I know it? Hold on, wait a minute. Let's go back up. Israel, O Lord of the world, our fathers are bondsmen for us. Yahuwah, your fathers are my debtors, and therefore not good bondsmen. Abraham said, whereby shall I know it, and thus prove himself lacking in faith? Isaac loved Esau, whom I hated, and Jacob did not immediately upon his return from Padan Aram keep his vow that he had made upon his way there. Bring me good bondsmen, and I will give you the Torah. Israel, our prophets shall be our bondsmen. Yahuwah, I have claims against them, for like the foxes in the deserts became your prophets. Bring me good bondsmen, and I will give you the Torah. Israel, we will give thee our children as bondsmen. Us. Not just the ones that was present, but all the ones that were coming in the future. He said, okay. You remember how when we read before they said, well, let all this fall upon our children. Yet, like, how can you be so selfish? Like, you made a covenant. Now you're not keeping to the terms of the deal. They're going to come confiscate us. Like, the debt must be paid. Listen. This will make all this other stuff make sense, y'all. Like, right? Pay attention. Give me good bondsmen, and I will give you the Torah. Israel, we will give thee our children as bondsmen. Yahuwah, well then, these are good bondmen, on whose bond I will give you the Torah. Hereupon the Israelites brought their wives with their babes at their breasts, and their pregnant wives, and Yahuwah made the bodies of the pregnant women transparent as glass. And he addressed the children in the womb with these words, behold, I will give your fathers the Torah. Will you be surety for them that they will observe it? They answered, yea. He furthermore said, I am your God. They said, yea. Ye shall have no other gods. They said, nay. In this wise, the children in the womb answer every commandment with yea, and every prohibition with nay. As it is written, the little children upon whose bond Yahuwah gave his people the Torah. It comes to pass that many little children die when Israel does not observe the Torah. Think about that. We just need to have a moment of silence just for that. And think about everything that's been happening to our people. Like, everything lines up, right? Think about our children. Every time one dies, somebody's being disobedient. Huh? Next section. From the first day of the third month, the day on which Israel arrived at Mount Sinai, a heavy cloud rested upon them, and everyone except Moses was bidden to ascend the mountain. Yea, they durst not even stay near it, lest Yahuwah smite those who pushed forward with hail and fiery arrows. The day of the revelation announced itself as an ominous day, even in the morning, for diverse rumblings sounded from Mount Sinai. Flashes of lightning, accompanied by an ever-swelling peal of horns, moved the people with mighty fear and trembling. Yahuwah bent the heavens, moved the earth, and shook the bounds of the world, so that the depths trembled and the heavens grew frightened. His splendor passed through the four portals of fire, earthquake, storm, and hail. Oh my gosh, she's coming. Let me tell you something. Listen, y'all, hold on. This is about to get so good. Let me tell you. He's just coming to meet with them to give them the Torah. But it threw everything out of whack. That's how glorious his presence is. That the whole world is going to begin to think that it is judgment day. Like the sea about to give up her dead and everything. Man, listen. Oh my gosh, hold on. Listen. Let's go back up here. The day of the revelation announced itself as an ominous day, even in the morning. For diverse rumblings sounded from Mount Sinai, flashes of lightning accompanied by an ever-swelling peal of horns moved the people with mighty fear and trembling. Yahuwah bent the heavens, moved the earth, and shook the bounds of the world so that the depths trembled and the heavens grew frightened. His splendor passed through the four portals of fire, earthquake, storm, and hail. The kings of the earth trembled in their palaces, and they all came to the villain Balaam and asked him if Yahuwah intended the same fate for them as for the generation of the flood. It was like, oh, it's the end again. But Balaam said to them, O ye fools, the Holy One, blessed be he. He has long since promised Noah never again to punish the world with a flood. The kings of the heathen, however, were not quieted, and furthermore said, Yahuwah has indeed promised to never again bring a flood upon the world, but perhaps he may now destroy it by means of fire. Balaam said, nay, Yahuwah would not destroy the world either through fire or through water. The commotion through nature was the cause through this only, that he is not, The commotion throughout nature was caused through this only, that he was about to bestow the Torah upon his people. The Eternal will give strength unto his people. At this, all the kings shouted, may the Eternal One bless his people with peace, and each one quieted in his spirit went to his house. It was like, oh, okay, because we thought we was about to die for all our sins. Okay, most holy, blessed be you. Go ahead and bless your people. We're going to go back to our sinning lives. I'm just like, how could the world be shaken by the glory of his majesty and not seek to betake themselves or throw themselves on the ground? Like, wait a minute. I need to make sure I'm right with you. I know I'm not your people, but even in all of this, I repent for everything, for my whole self of life. Like, because if this is happening when you blessing your people, what's going to happen at the day of our demise, right? I'm just like, oh, people, listen. The commotion throughout nature was the cause through this only, that he is about to bestow his Torah upon his people. The Eternal will give strength unto his people. At this, all the kings shouted, may the Eternal bless his people with peace, and each one, quieted in his spirit, went to his house. Just as the inhabitants of the earth were alarmed at the revelation and believed that the end of all time had arrived, so too did the earth. She thought the resurrection of the dead was about to take place, and she would have to account for the blood of the slain that she had absorbed and for the bodies of the murdered whom she had covered. The earth was not calmed until she heard the first words of the Decalogue. Although phenomena were perceptible on Mount Sinai in the morning, still Yahuwah did not reveal himself to the people until noon. For owing to the brevity of the summer nights and the pleasantness of the morning sleep in the summer, the people were still asleep when Yahuwah had descended upon Mount Sinai. Hold on, my G. Everybody else in the world was shaken and shooketh down in their shanana. And y'all slept through all this? Well, I tell you, that's what the peace of the Most Holy would do. And everything else around you was being shaken, you sleeping like a baby. They said they were still asleep when his glory had descended upon the mountain. He let them sleep. It was knowing everybody was sleeping in, right? Right. For owing to the brevity of the summer nights and the pleasantness of the morning sleep in the summer, the people were still asleep when Yahuwah had descended upon Mount Sinai. Moses betook himself to the encampment and awakened them with these words, arise from your sleep, the bridegroom is at hand and is waiting to lead his bride under the marriage canopy. Moses, at the head of the procession, hereupon brought the nation to its bridegroom, Yahuwah, to Sinai, himself going up the mountain. He said to Yahuwah, announce thy words, thy children are ready to obey them. These words of Moses rang out near and far, for on the occasion his voice, when he repeated the words of Yahuwah to the people, had as much power as the divine voice that he heard. It was not indeed quite of their own free will that Israel declared themselves ready to accept the Torah. No, listen, I forgot about this part. For when the whole nation in two divisions, men and women, approached Sinai, Yahuwah lifted up this mountain and held it over the heads of the people like a basket, saying unto them, if you will accept the Torah, like imagine this being a mountain being held over your head. Imagine somebody standing right. It's probably a bad analogy. But imagine you standing right there, somebody behind you with a bat or a gun. Like, this it. If you don't accept it, it's going to be it. See, because you got to realize, listen, before I go on with this analogy, you have to remember everything that we've learned up to this point. Remember, Yahuwah had already gone to all the other nations, right? He'd gone to all the other nations, and they had already said, no, we do not want your Torah. So he said, now that he's going to the last nation of people, which is Israel, he's telling them, he said, listen, if you don't accept this, there is no point of any of this being anymore. If you say no, I'm going to turn everything back to chaos. There will be no more earth if you don't accept it, because there is no point, right? And so he was kindly reminding them by holding this huge mountain over their head, right? It was kind of like, hey, so we really gonna do this? Look, he ain't playing, my G. I know we like freely accepted this, but listen, is we really ready to do this? Because there's really no turning. We can't turn back at this point. We just need to make sure. We need to go. Wait, 1 second, Father. We just need to talk amongst ourselves for a few minutes. We just need to make sure we got everything together appropriate. Listen. Okay, everybody, yay, everybody, yay, everybody, yay. We gonna do this. The right one keeps everything. Yes. Babies in the womb too. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yes. Future generations, children. Okay. Yes. Everybody. Okay. Go ahead, proceed, Father. Right? Like this. Imagine this whole scene going on. Right? Listen. It was not indeed quite of their own free will that Israel declared themselves ready to accept the Torah. For when the whole nation in two divisions, men and women, approached Sinai, Yahuwah lifted up this mountain and held it over the heads of the people like a basket, saying to them, if ye will accept the Torah, it is well. Otherwise, you will find your grave under this mountain. And they all burst into tears and poured out their heart in contrition before Yahuwah and said, all that Yahuwah have said, we will do and be obedient. Hardly had they uttered these words of submission to Yahuwah when 120 myriads of angels descended and provided every Israelite with a crown and a girdle of glory, divine gifts, which they did not lose until they worshiped the golden calf. When the angels came and took the gifts away from them, like, we just got these gifts. Y'all don't worship the golden calf. My crown is gone. That beautiful sash that I had that I was strutting down here is gone. Y'all, listen, we just got this stuff and we ain't kept it. We ain't kept it a good month. Listen. Let me go back. Listen. And they received some awesome stuff. Like they received even like supernatural weapons and stuff, right? So people, they didn't even look Israel. They didn't even look their way. Like, oh no, we won't play with them. No, we don't. You better quit messing with them good people. Get on out of here. Let's go. Hardly had they uttered these words of submission to Yahuwah when 120 myriads of angels descended and provided every Israelite with a crown and a girdle of glory, divine gifts, which they did not lose until they worshipped the golden calf when the angels came and took the gifts away from them. At the same time, with these crowns and girdles of glory, a heavenly radiance was shed over their faces, But this also later they lost through their sins. Only Moses retained it, whose face shone so brightly that if even today a crack were made in his tomb, the light emanating from his corpse would be so powerful that it could not but destroy all the world. How do you allow yourself to be talked into losing something as precious as this? After Yahuwah had bestowed upon Israel all these wonderful gifts, he wanted to proceed to the announcement of the Torah, but did not desire to do so while Moses was with him, that the people might not say it was Moses who had spoken out of the cloud. Hence, he sought an excuse to be rid of him. He therefore said to Moses, "Go down to warn the people that they should not press forward to see, for even if one of them were to be destroyed, the loss to me would be as great as if all creation had been destroyed. Be it Nadab and Abihu also, as well as the firstborn, that are to perform the priestly duties, beware that they do not press forward." Moses, however, desirous of remaining with Yahuwah, replied, "I have already warned the people and set the bounds beyond which they may not venture." Yahuwah hereupon said to Moses, "Go, descend, call upon Aaron to come up with thee, but let him keep behind thee, while the people do not move beyond the positions thou hast assigned them." Hardly had Moses left the mountain when Yahuwah revealed the Torah to the people. It was the sixth revelation of Yahuwah upon the earth since the creation of the world. The 10th and last is to take place on the day of judgment. We know we ain't got to that day yet. The heavens opened, and Mount Sinai, freed from the earth, rose into the air, so that its summit towered into the heavens, while a thick cloud covered the sides of it and touched the feet of the divine throne. Accompanying Yahuwah on one side appeared 22,000 angels with crowns for the Levites, the only tribe that remained true to Yahuwah, while the rest worshipped the golden calf. On the second side were 26 myriads, 3,550 angels, each bearing a crown of fire for each individual Israelite. Double this number of angels was on the third side, whereas on the fourth side they were simply innumerable. For Yahuwah did not appear from one direction, but from all four simultaneously, which, however, did not prevent his glory from filling the heaven as well as all the earth. In spite of all these innumerable hosts of angels, there was no crowding on Mount Sinai, no mob. There was room for all the angels that had appeared in honor of Israel and the Torah. Like, all of heaven showed up. Like, everybody, I'm in front row seat. I'm there. You going? Yes, I'm going. Let's go. We don't want to be late. Everybody showed up for this ceremony, right? He said, even though all the hosts of heaven had showed up to see this, there was no crowding around the space, right? There was no crowding, but everybody was there. Double this number of angels was on the third side, whereas on the fourth side they were simply innumerable. For Yahuwah did not appear from one direction, but from all four simultaneously, which, however, did not prevent his glory from filling the heaven as well as the earth. In spite of all these innumerable hosts of angels, there was no crowding on Mount Sinai, no mob. There was room for all the angels that had appeared in honor of Israel and the Torah. They had, however, at the same time received the order to destroy Israel in case they intended to reject the Torah, right? And they got that mountain up there. Everybody present. Everybody with this is a great occasion. It's gonna be a wedding and it's gonna be a funeral. Because, and look, all the angels, everybody was in what's the word? Everybody was waiting on this day. Everybody was like waiting to this time right here when they would get the opportunity to accept the Torah. Okay, where we at? Okay, where we at? 109. Okay, let's read this. We'll read this next section and then we'll pause it for tomorrow. Okay, and this is good for any of you who have already read the book of remembrance, right? Remember, we talked about in the book of remembrance, no matter which one, but they refer to Yahuwah as Anoki's, right? but it's two words. It means I am loving kindness, and Noki is I am, and keys or kesed or keys means loving kindness. So they call him Anokis. I am loving kindness. So it's talking about Anoki right here, right? The first commandment. The first word of Yahuwah on Sinai was Anoki. It is I. It was not a Hebrew word, but an Egyptian word that Israel first heard from Yahuwah. He treated them as did the king at his homecoming son, whom returning from a long stay overseas, he addressed in the language the son had acquired in a foreign land. Like he's going to address us in the language that we've acquired in our foreign land, right? He's going to restore the pure tongue, but he's going to address us in a language that we can understand. Listen, let me read it again. The first word of Yahuwah on Sinai was Enoki. It is I. It was not a Hebrew word, but an Egyptian word that Israel first heard from Yahuwah. He treated them as did the king, his homecoming son, whom returning from a long stay overseas, he addressed in the language the son had acquired in a foreign land. So Yahuwah addressed Israel in Egyptian because it was the language they spoke. Where everybody doing all this, Yahuwah know how to talk to us. Whatever language that we didn't learn, and that's what we understand, that's how he gonna talk to us. Because that was the language they spoke. At the same time, hey, let Josh stop. You better stop. Get on my poppy.
Mommy.
Yes.
Miko, about talk and play.
Give me a few moments. I'm almost done with the reading. Going back upstairs. At the same time, Israel recognized in this word and no key. That is Yahuwah, who had addressed them. For when Jacob had assembled his children around his deathbed, he warned them to be mindful of the glory of Yahuwah and confided to them the secrets that Yahuwah would hereafter reveal to them with the word Anoki. He said, with the word Anoki, he addressed my grandfather Abraham. With the word Anoki, he addressed my father Isaac. And with the word Anoki, he addressed me. Know then that when he will come to you, he will also address you. It will be he, but not otherwise. When the first commandment had come out of the mouth of Yahuwah, thunder and lightning proceeded from his mouth. A torch was lit at his right and a torch at his left, and his voice flew through the air, saying, my people, house of Israel, I am the eternal, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. When Israel heard the awful voice, they flew back in horror 12 miles until their souls fled from them. Upon this, the Torah turned to Yahuwah, saying, Lord of the world, hast thou given me the living or the dead? Yahuwah said, to the living, the Torah, but they are all dead. Yahuwah, for thy sake, I will restore them to life. Hereupon he let fall upon them the dew that will hereafter revive the dead, and they return to life. Listen, so now they know when Yahuwah, go ahead, get on up, throw some water on your face, get up, come on, listen. I gave y'all what y'all asked. Every time we ask the Most Holy for something, he gave it to us, right? So they said, listen, Moses, we know you man, you his man, he sent you to help brought us out and everything, but we know it was directly because of him, right? Listen, now we want to hear his voice and we want to see him with our own eyes. Tell him that. You will said, okay, I'm gonna grant them both their wishes. And see, here's what happened, right? They weren't ready for this. Let's go back. Listen. When the first commandment had come out of the mouth of Yahuwah, thunder and lightning proceeded from his mouth. A torch was lit at his right and a torch at his left. His voice flew through the air, saying, my people, house of Israel, I am the eternal, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. When Israel heard the awful voice, they flew back in horror 12 miles until their souls fled from them. Upon this, the Torah turned to Yahuwah, saying, Lord of the world, hast thou given me to the living or to the dead? Yahuwah said, to the living, the Torah, but they are all dead. Yahuwah, for thy sake I will restore them to life. Hereupon he let fall upon them the dew that hereafter will revive the dead, and they return to life. The trembling of heaven and earth that set in upon the perception of the divine voice alarmed Israel so greatly that they could hardly stand on their feet. Yahuwah hereupon sent to every one of them 2 angels and laid his hand upon the heart of each, that his soul might not depart, and on to lift the head of each. And on to lift the head of each, that he might behold his maker's splendor. Like, listen, I need 2 y'all. 2 to everybody, right? One of y'all keep their spirit inside of them. Other one, hold the face up so they can watch everything. I'm getting them everything he asked for. Keep everybody looking. Hold on. The trembling of heaven and earth that set in upon the perception of the divine voice alarmed Israel so greatly that they could hardly stand on their feet. Yahuwah hereupon sent to every one of them 2 angels and laid his hand upon the heart of each, that his soul might not depart, and on his head to lift the head of each, that he might behold his maker's splendor. They beheld the glory of Yahuwah as well as the otherwise invisible word when it emanated from the divine vision and rolled forward to their ears, whereupon they perceived these words: Will thou accept the Torah, which contains 248 commandments, corresponding to the number of the members of the body? They answered, Yea, yea. Then the word passed from the ear to the mouth, kissed the mouth, then rolled again to the ear, again to the hold on, let me go back. Then the word passed from the ear to the mouth, kissed the mouth, then rolled again to the ear, again to the ear, and it called to it, Will thou accept the Torah, which contains 365 prohibitions corresponding to the days of the year? And when they replied, Yea, yea, again, the word turned from the ear to the mouth and kissed it. After the Israelites had in this wise taken upon themselves the commandments and the prohibitions, Yahuwah opened the 7 heavens and the 7 earths and said, Yahuwah opened the 7 heavens and the 7 earths and said, Behold, these are my witnesses, that there is none like me in the heights or on earth. See, I am the Holy One, and that I have revealed myself in my splendor and my radiance. If anyone should say to you, Go serve other gods, then say, Can one who has seen the Maker face to face in his splendor, in his glory, in his strength, leave him and become an idolater? See, it is I that have delivered you out of the house of bondage. It is I that cleaved the sea before you and led you on dry land, while I submerged your enemies in the depths. I am God of the dry lands as well as the sea, of the past as well as the future, the God of this world as well as of the future worlds. I am the God of all nations, but only with Israel is my name allied. Whew. Lord, it's all down to my shana. Now, y'all, hold on. If they fulfill my wishes, I, the eternal, am merciful, gracious, and long-suffering, and abundant in goodness and truth. But if you are disobedient, then I will be a stern judge. If you will not accept the Torah, no punishment could have fallen upon you were you not to fulfill it. But now that you have accepted it, you must obey it. In order to convince Israel of the unity and uniqueness of Yahuwah, he bade all nature stand still, that all might see that there is nothing beside him. When Yahuwah bestowed the Torah, no bird sang, no ox lowed, the Ophanim did not fly, the seraphim uttered not their holy, 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 the sea did not roar, no creature uttered a sound. All listened in breathless silence to the words announced by an echoless voice. I am the Lord your God. These words, as well as the others, made known by Yahuwah on Sinai, were not heard by Israel alone, but by the inhabitants of all the earth. The divine voice divided itself into the 70 tongues of men, so that all might understand it. But whereas Israel could listen to the voice without suffering harm, the souls of the heathens almost fled from them when they heard it. When the divine voice sounded, all the dead in Sheol were revived and betook themselves to Sinai, for the revelation took place in the presence of the living as well as the dead. Yea, even the souls of those who were not yet born were present. Every prophet, every sage received at Sinai shared. Hold on, let me go back. Every prophet, every sage received at Sinai his share of the revelation, in which the course of history was announced by them to mankind. All heard indeed the same words, but the same voice corresponding to the individuality of each was Yahuwah's way of speaking with them. And as the same voice sounded differently to each, so did the divine vision appear differently to each. Wherefore Yahuwah warned them not to ascribe the various forms to various beings, saying, do not believe that because you have seen me in various forms, that there are various gods. I am the same that appeared to you at the Red Sea as a God of war, and at Sinai as a teacher. And that's the end of this, y'all. We're going to stop right here because we're already at an hour and 20 minutes. So I said we may not be able to get through all of it. So, and that was just with the first commandment, y'all. So this whole ceremony is such a beautiful thing. And we just got to stop right here because we're already at an hour and 20 minutes. I'm sorry, but I hope y'all have been enjoying it all the way up until this point. If you have the book, feel free to read ahead. Feel free to read ahead. If not, you just gotta wait till we get back here tomorrow. All right, y'all. So that was Legends of the Jews, page 267 to page 272. We will pick it up here tomorrow, and we read. She moved my stuff again. She moved my book, y'all. Hold on. She coming in here messing with stuff. Okay. And we read the last chapter of Leviticus 27, y'all. So it is Sunday, the last day of January 31st, 2021, day 65 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, day 734. And that is without the Sabbath days added in. That is all the consecutive days that we have been here reading, that many days, without the Sabbath days added in, y'all. All right, so I sure hope y'all enjoyed that. Let's go ahead and do the blessing. Okay. The blessing is found in Numbers what? Everybody should know it by now. We've been only doing it for like 3 years. Yep, Numbers chapter 6. Verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is the Nazirite vow. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, on this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, may Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Okay, double check stuff. You're welcome, mother. You're welcome. You're welcome. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Listen, I think today Christina's birthday too. So if you hear Christina, if you watch it later, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Okay, y'all, that's enough. All right, y'all. So if there is nothing else, I will see y'all bright and early in the morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, it is? Okay. Yeah, I thought so. It's her birthday. Okay. Let me end this stream, y'all.